Ever since steam locomotives vanished from America's railroads in the 1950s, railroad fans have continued their love affair with this iconic device. We're in eastern Pennsylvania, where we'll visit an engine that runs on occasion to the delight of those who come to see her. The date is February 14th, and we're in Port Clinton, Pennsylvania, at the steam locomotive shop of the Reading, Blue Mountain and Northern Railroad, which goes by the trade name of Reading and Northern. Steam locomotive number 425 is being readied for a couple of days of charters which are meant to recreate a steam-powered passenger train in the winter. Number 425 was built in 1928 for the Gulf, Mobile, and Northern Railroad by the Baldwin Locomotive Works in Philadelphia. She's a 462 Pacific-type steam locomotive, an engine that was often assigned to passenger trains during the days of steam railroading. She later worked for GM&N's successor Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio, and was acquired by what is now the Reading and Northern in 1983. Back in the day, not all steam locomotives were painted black, and 425 carries on the tradition of having a sharp-looking paint job for passenger service. 425 has 69-inch driving wheels, carries a boiler pressure of 210 pounds per square inch, and has a tractive effort of 35,156 pounds. The Reading and Northern is a successful regional freight railroad that runs roughly between Reading and Scranton with a multitude of branches that serve the Pennsylvania coal country. R&N also operates the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway, where 425 is one of the stars. Our trains the next 2 days are what are known as photo charters, where a group of participants chartered the train for photography. It may seem like we're all by ourselves, but that certainly wasn't the case. Before we start, let's look at the first part of our route. Pennsylvania is in the eastern part of the United States, and Port Clinton is in the eastern third of Pennsylvania, in the Appalachian Mountains. The town is located on the other side of the Little Schuylkill River from our engine house, which is alongside the main line of the Reading and Northern Railroad. We'll board our train just south of here at the headquarters of the R&N, which was built to resemble a large passenger station of times gone by. We're traveling on the R&N's Reading Division over trackage that was once part of the Reading Railroad, which was an important regional railroad in the area. This part of the route was built in 1870. The R&N is more than just a coal railroad, carrying a variety of cargo produced or consumed in this region. One of the larger places we'll pass through is Tamaqua, and we'll see a train passing the depot here, and just beyond town is the Tamaqua Tunnel. Although the Reading and Northern operates over several Reading Railroad lines, today's system is an amalgamation of several routes. At East Mahanoy Junction, we'll switch over to the former Central Railroad of New Jersey's Nesquehoning Valley branch, now the Carbon County Railroad, which the RNN has trackage rights over. One of the highlights of this route is the 980-foot-long Hometown High Bridge. Along this line, we'll see scenes at Greenwood Lake, as well as the quaint old town of Nesquehoning, where the train stops for water. It's before dawn on February 15, 2016, and we're at the Reading and Northern headquarters in Port Clinton as 425 awaits our first day of steam in the snow. At Webster, we'll cross the Little Schuylkill River, and we'll see it from a couple of angles. The Hometown High Bridge is 981 feet long and 161 feet high. We did a couple of photo runs here.
At Nesquehoning, our train stops to take water. Let's look at the route for the rest of the day. Leaving Nesquehoning, the old Jersey Central's Valley Branch joins the one-time Jersey Central Main Line at Nesquehoning Junction. Here we'll back across the Lehigh River and cross over what was once the main line of the Lehigh Valley Railroad and is now the Lehigh Subdivision of the Reading and Northern. In 1972, the central trackage through here was abandoned and traffic on both railroads was routed over the Lehigh Valley. We're going through Lehigh Gorge State Park, and the Jersey Central's roadbed is now a park trail. Our photo train has backed all the way to what was once Penn Haven Junction, where the Lehigh Valley and the Jersey Central once crossed each other, and the Lehigh Valley's Hazelton branch curved off to the left. We'll see a run-by over the old Lehigh Valley Bridge, then see a train on the straightaway. Today, this area is known as Independence. Our photo train will proceed down the gorge
and we'll have several scenes in the Glen Onoco area, including the bridge over the Lehigh River. After the bridge, we'll rejoin the old Jersey Central Main Line at Nesquehoning Junction and head into the Jim Thorpe yard, where 425 will be turned on the old turntable so as to properly position it for tomorrow's train. We'll end our first day at the old Jersey Central Station in Jim Thorpe. Our water stop is done, so we'll continue east. We're leaving the Redding subdivision and we'll back up the Lehigh subdivision to Independence to do some southward facing run-bys. After our photo run-bys in the gorge, we went on into Jim Thorpe where 425 was rotated on the old turntable. After she was turned, 425 pulled us backwards the short distance to the depot. Jim Thorpe was our destination for today. Tomorrow we'll have more great steam action. It's the second day of our charter, and 425 is at the old Jersey Central Depot in Jim Thorpe, preparing for another day of photography. During the summer, this is the headquarters for the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway. Let's look at the first part of today's route. We're back in Jim Thorpe. The old passenger station, as well as the old Central Railroad of New Jersey's main line, now the R&N's Reading Subdivision, are on our left. Across the Lehigh River on the right is the twin line of Norfolk Southern's Lehigh line on the left side and R&N's Lehigh Subdivision on the right. Through here, both railroads share one track each on the one-time double-track main line of the Lehigh Valley Railroad. A few miles south of here, Norfolk Southern assumes full ownership of the line. NS has trackage rights over the Reading and Northern north of Penn, so this line still has through freight traffic, which we'll see a little later. Our passenger train will leave Jim Thorpe and once again cross the river onto the Lehigh Subdivision, this time facing north. Just beyond the bridge at Glenanoco, we'll see our train passing through the rock cut, and then we'll see scenes of her at various places in the Lehigh Gorge. At Old Penn Haven, we'll pause to let one of the Norfolk Southern freights pass us. We'll finish our gorge run-bys on the stretch between here and Independence. At Old Penn Haven, we paused to let a southbound NS freight led by a CSX unit pass us by. Today, each railroad owns one track of the former Lehigh Valley double-track main line through here. .425 backs up for our next run-by. We've concluded our run-bys at Independence, and we'll leave the Lehigh Gorge. Our train will back to Nesquehoning Junction, then head forward on the Redding Subdivision. On the outskirts of Nesquehoning, the Highway 93 underpass looks for all the world like a tunnel, and we'll stop here. 425 passes Nesquehoning and continues backtracking its way to Port Clinton. We'll see our train at a few places along the old Jersey Central's Nesquehoning Valley branch, then past East Mahanoy Junction, we'll be back on former Redding Railroad trackage. Our train passes the old depot in Tamaqua, and then we witness a meet with an R&N freight just outside of town. We'll see runbys in a couple of places in the valley south of Tamaqua before arriving back at the station in Port Clinton. At Molino Road, we stopped to do our last run by, and this one will make for a fitting end to our 2 days of photography. .425 has cut off her train in Port Clinton. The crew put on a great show recreating a passenger train in the winter.